So, in your opinion, what should the young man that's watching this that wants to better himself, he wants to become the 2.0 version of himself, what are some things that he should be focusing on to actually make that happen?
So you're what, 29 now?
29.
You're 29. Andrew is 19, my son. You guys are 10 years apart. And so to me, Andrew and you encompass young men. What should a young man do? Well, I can use you and Andrew as an example. First off, fitness. You've always been fit. You've always been active. So has Andrew. So that is the foundation for everything, because the discipline that is required for someone to stay active, to be an athlete, to work out, to be fit, that discipline bleeds into every other category of life. Secondly, a young man should focus on his core values, meaning what does he want from his life? Do you value a relationship? If the answer is yes, what kind of person do you want to be in a relationship with? Someone who's stoic, someone who's loud and obnoxious, someone who is an introvert, someone who's an extrovert? Do you want a spouse who's going to go out and work, or do you want one who's going to be at home? Like, you have to know what your core values are. You know that. Betsy doesn't work. You are married to Betsy. You guys have 3 kids. You earn and you feed the family. That's just how it is. That's the core values that you have. That's the woman that you chose because she was on board with that plan. Andrew is on the same path to that. He knows exactly what he wants, exactly the lifestyle that he wants, the core values that he wants to live by. And so he's executing that. But it starts with work out consistently and be fit and jacked, because that creates the foundation of a disciplined man who can delay gratifications and complete what he says he's going to complete. Number 2, create a life structure. Hey, by the time I'm 30, I want to be here. By the time I'm 40, I want to be there. By the time I'm 50 and beyond, I want to be there. In terms of how much money do I want to have? What do I want to look like? How do I want my kids to grow up to be, right? You have core values for your kids. Apollo and the girls are going to have a certain way that they're going to communicate and connect with people, that people are going to go, wow, you know what? These kids are very respectful. They have light behind their eyes. Their parents did a great job. They're going to go out and be an asset to humanity. Same with Andrew and Chloe. When they were little puppies in a high chair at a restaurant, and me and Di would always end up like seeing people watching us, because my kids were never on digital devices. They were drawing on whatever they were drawing on, and then they were engaging with us, even as little puppies. And parents and grandparents would come to us and go, hey, man, it's amazing. We thought your kids were going to be loud and obnoxious, but boy, you guys have really well-mannered kids. I'm sure you've heard that. And it's not by accident. It's because we poured into them. I didn't want to have kids that were feral animals at a restaurant. I wanted to have kids who are respectful and they're not throwing a chicken wing across the room, right? And so those are the decisions that you make, and then you make sacrifices against those decisions so that you could focus on those things. So are there sacrifices that I've had to make and we've had to make? Absolutely. Those sacrifices were maybe not necessarily going to family parties where they're going to eat a whole bunch of sugary food and then, fly off the handle. Or grandma and grandpa are going to feed them stuff that's going to make them nuts, or they're going to spoil them in certain ways. I've had to have conversations with my sister, who's their aunt, and be like, hey, listen, you can't just keep spoiling them. You can't keep giving them all this food. You can't keep saying, oh, that's okay. Here's some money for you. Like, we want our kids to learn to earn. So we've got them on a very specific budget. And so every young man should understand fitness is the foundation. And then you got to have milestones for every 10 years of your life. And then you have to make sacrifices in those areas of friendships, parties, hangouts, feeling like you're going to miss out. There has to be a sacrifice on weekends and evenings and Friday nights so you can focus on your 10-year milestones. And when you do, you will end up there. I guess the third and final thing would be get a mentor or have mentors in each of those categories, right? If you want to be fit and jacked, maybe you have a coach on some sports team who you're going to model yourself after. Maybe, like, for example, I modeled my business after Jim Franco and his business. I wanted the level of freedom he had. I wanted the level of financial freedom that he had. I wanted to be the type of leader that he was. When he walks in, his people love him. I've seen that firsthand. And so that's the vibe that I wanted. And so if you could have mentors in all those areas of life, typically faith, family, fitness, your finances, you're going to be squared away. But there are sacrifices required, and most young men don't want to make those sacrifices to have the better life down the road.